Hello and good afternoon. I hope you're doing well. My name's Adesh Purankar, and I wanted to come on here and do something a little different today. This one's for the children. I've been thinking about coming on here for a little while now, once a week, and doing a story time. And if you enjoy it, if your children enjoy it, let me know. And we will make it a weekly thing. So, our first book is Earth, Fire, Water, and Air by Mary Hoffman and Jane Ray. This is a beautiful book with beautiful illustrations. Earth, Fire, Water, and Air. So we begin with Earth. And you can see that there's a bowl with stars on it. There's a snake. There's a woman in a white dress. There's the signs of Taurus and Virgo and Capricorn. There's Capricorn up there. With the goat and the funny tail. And we'll begin. Mother Earth. Earth is the first and the most important element. The Greeks and Romans named our planet after it. In the Middle Ages, it was considered the central element of the four. It is easy to see why many people thought of the earth as their first mother, the source of all life. The Greeks called her Gaia. She was Priviti to the Hindus and Ishtar to the Babylonians. People all over the world, from North America to Japan, Scandinavia to New Zealand, believed in an Earth Mother Goddess and a Father Sky. In ancient Egypt, it was the other way around. Geb was the earth and the earth god, and Nut, or Nui, the sky goddess. Women who wanted babies and women who were about to give birth pressed themselves close to the ground to share in her fruitfulness. Until quite recently, in one part of Italy, newborn babies were placed on the earth as soon as they had been bathed and dressed. It was a way of saying that all life comes from the earth, our mother. All the food that the people eat either grows from the soil or comes from animals which themselves rely on the earth to provide their food. Even the birds of the air and the fishes of the sea depend on food that comes from the earth. Gradually, though, we seem to have forgotten that the earth is the mother of us all. Life in the dark. See all the animals burrowing under the ground? And then there's people working with carts and mines underneath the ground. And deeper into the earth, cave paintings and dwellings. The earth is a generous mother. Her warm embrace gives shelter to many kinds of animals. Some of the most humble are the most important, like the common earthworm. Earth passes through its body as it wriggles through the ground, breaking up the soil as it goes, making it crumbly and diggable. And bigger animals make tunnels under the earth, forming intricate patterns like the warrens of rabbits or the underground labyrinths of meerkats and moles and badgers. These are the places where they sleep, give birth, and hide from predators. Diggers and delvers. But it is not just animals that burrow and tunnel into the earth. In the Ice Age, people lived in underground caves. Caves have been found in France, painted with the images of bison and antelope and all the other animals that the Ice Age people hunted for food. These painted caves were magical places where young boys were brought when they came of age to become hunters. Thousands of years later, people found out that the Earth Mother had many treasures hidden inside of her: gold, silver, diamonds, coal, that could only be seized from her by those who would go down into the dark. She takes many lives in return for the riches people dig out of her. Creatures of the earth. The earth has her own creatures, special to her. The earthbound ones who cannot fly or swim. Above all others, the bull symbolizes the strength and solidity of the earth and carries its own magic. Even today, conjurers still use the word abracadabra, which comes from an ancient phrase meaning the bull, the only bull, when they want to create a magical illusion. Buffalo dusk. The buffaloes are gone, and those who saw the buffaloes are gone. Those who saw the buffaloes by thousands and how they pawed the prairie sod into dust with their hooves, their great heads down, pawing on in great pageant of dusk. Those who saw the buffaloes are gone, and the buffaloes are gone. By Carl Sandburg. The buffaloes have come back, it's okay. Earth animals, the large meat eaters, and the animals they feed on, the hoofed and the horned, need a lot of room. But the open spaces are shrinking, and the animals are disappearing too. You see the elephants, and the giraffes, and the zebra, And there are some cheetahs running after the antelope. And in that cloud of smoke above, by the buffalo. And there's white birds. Mythical beasts. There's a unicorn. They're one of my favorites. As if the earth did not give rise to enough wonderful creatures naturally, myth and legend have given us even more miraculous beasts. The unicorn might be an elegant interpretation of the rhino's or the spiraled narwhal. An elegant interpretation of the rhinos, or it might be a result of the belief that everything on land had its counterpart in the sea. When spiraled narwhal horns were washed up on beaches, people of the Middle Ages deduced there must be a single-horned animal on the earth too. The centaur was a creature of Greek myth, a man from the waist up fused with the body of a horse. It was probably the result of people seeing men riding horses for the first time. The Sphinx was made up of parts of other animals. The Greek Sphinx has a woman's head and breasts, a lion's body, and an eagle's wings and a serpent's tail. The Egyptian Sphinx has a lion's body and a man's head. The chimera was an incredible mixture of lion, dragon, and she-goat. According to myth, it terrorized the people of Lycia in Asia Minor until it was killed by Bellerophon. You see the two different kinds of sphinxes? The Greek Sphinx and the centaur and the chimera. Earthquakes. Whoa, when the ground shakes. The earth is not always a gentle and loving mother. Sometimes she can be terrifying and destructive. Suddenly, often without warning, the ground begins to shake and rumble, and the earth splits open, swallowing anything in its way. Some earthquakes strike in remote, uninhabited places. They can even happen under the sea. But others attacked crowded cities like Los Angeles and Tokyo. It is becoming possible to predict earthquakes and even to make buildings earthquake-proof. But even in earlier times, when there was no chance of avoiding or predicting earthquakes, people would always come back and build again in the same spot. Would you build in the same spot? I don't know if I would. Dragon's teeth. The one thing that the fruitful earth cannot produce is living creatures, though many legends say she can. One of them tells of the Greek hero Cadmus, who made men spring out of the earth. When he arrived in the land where he was to build the city of Thebes, he was thirsty. He tried to drink water from a spring, not realizing it was sacred to the war god, Ares, who had put a huge dragon to guard it. Cadmus killed the dragon so that he could drink, and Ares never forgave him. Then the goddess Athena, who had been watching, told Cadmus to take the teeth of the dragon and plant them in the earth like seeds. When he obeyed her, a host of armed warriors immediately sprang up, too many for Cadmus to command. He threw a stone among them, and they quarreled over who had done it, killing one another until there were only 5 of them left. These five followed Cadmus for the rest of his life. Imagine warriors springing out of the ground like daisies. Earth to earth. Perhaps because of a belief that the earth could give life to anything, people in many cultures have buried their dead since prehistoric times. If Mother Earth could bring back flowers and crops and trees after the dead period of winter, perhaps she could bring her human children back to life too. The Christian burial service still says, earth to earth, ashes to acid, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, in sure and certain hope of the resurrection to eternal life. The Celts piled the earth into high burial mounds on top of their kings and warriors. The ancient Egyptians carried the idea of burial mounds even further. They constructed huge pyramids for their kings and pharaohs and buried them in chambers deep inside, because they saw death as a journey to the afterlife. They buried all the pharaoh's favorite possessions with him, along with food and wine, to keep him from going hungry, to keep him going on his way in the afterlife. You see them all? Animals and humans alike under the ground. And some with older things. The cycles of the seasons. Life comes back out of the earth every spring. Many myths and legends around the world arose from attempts to explain this annual miracle. The Greek goddess of corn, Demeter, was the granddaughter of Great Mother Earth herself. Demeter had a daughter named Persephone, whose father was Zeus, the king of the gods. Persephone was stolen by Hades, the god of the underworld, to be his wife, and Demeter made Zeus get her daughter back for her. But because Persephone had eaten 6 pomegranate seeds when she was in the underworld, she was allowed to live on earth for only 6 months of the year. During the other 6 months, she had to go back and be queen to Hades. Her mother missed her so much that the leaves fell off the trees, and the earth was bleak and miserable as Demeter felt. And that is one explanation of the seasons, because most trees seem to die in the winter and come back to life in the spring. They have always seemed magical symbols of everlasting life. Trees eternal, attempts by the earth to speak to the listening sky. By Rabindranath Tagore. Many trees live for hundreds of years, much longer than people, because a tree has its roots in the earth, but reaches high up into the sky with its branches. It is also a symbol of striving for higher and better things. To the Celts, the oak tree was sacred. For Indians, it was the fig tree. In the lands where the Vikings came from, people believed that the whole world was supported by the great ash tree. Its name was Yggdrasil. At the bottom, coiled around its roots, lay a dragon, the Nidhogg. At the top was an eagle. In between them scurried the squirrels, Ratasok, carrying their insults back and forth. Yggdrasil's roots went down into Niflheim and up into Asgard, where the gods lived. The ash tree was believed to have been there forever and would never die. You see it? Yggdrasil, the great ash tree. They have the eagle in the branches, and down at the roots, they have the dragon. And there's a little fox behind the tree looking at the dragon. That's a brave fox. Saving the earth. If the earth is our mother, we have treated her very badly. We have moved a long way from the native North American who refused to even dig in the earth, saying that it would mean wounding his mother. Now many parts of the world that were once full of trees have become deserts where nothing grows and nothing can live. Large areas of rainforest in the Amazon, Madagascar, Rwanda, and other places have been burned or cut down. Often people need land for farming and cannot afford to proceed more. To proceed more slowly, or to think about the future. They need food for their families now. Around the world, so much is being lost. Wildlife and its habitats, traditional ways of life, that it seems time is running out. Time is running out for many of the treasures of the earth, unless countries can work together to preserve them. But the solutions to big problems often begin with something small. In India, the Chipko movement began when women in a village put their arms around the trees that were about to be cut down to make way for a factory. They told the woodcutters they would have to saw through them too. The women had seen how cutting down lots of trees led to floods, which washed away roads and bridges. Now the Chipko Hug the Tree movement has spread all over India. It is a case of ordinary people making a real change in what is happening to the earth. So we're just going to do the earth section today. And I want you to remember that you are powerful, that you too can love and protect our Mother Earth, whether it's by protecting even just your neighborhood, by picking up trash, making sure we don't litter, doing our best to use reusable and sustainable resources, to be kind to our animal friends. And I always recommend hugging a tree. They give us oxygen and they benefit from our breath, our carbon dioxide. So I hope you had fun. We'll come back and we'll read the fire chapter. Till then, take care and have a beautiful afternoon. Bye.